Chaudhary, a curious psychologist, and today we are here to dive into a very important conversation about how does somebody know they need therapy. And to help us understand this better, we have an expert on this field, Ms. Dipali Devi, who is a clinical psychologist and psychotherapist. She's the founder of Sukoon Psychotherapy Center. She holds an MPhil in clinical psychology and have extensive experience of handling individuals across various age groups. Ma'am, hello ma'am.
Hi.
First of all, ma'am, I have been reading about psychology a lot, and I am curious about one thing, that how does an individual know they need therapy?
See, if you say in terms of therapy is only for the people who are sick, then you are looking at people who have some kind of a diagnosis. But usually therapy is not just about people who have certain kind of a diagnosis. Any person who is facing some issue in their life and want it to be addressed can seek therapy. So when there is a desire that somebody else needs to help me in this, yes, you can go to a therapist.
So ma'am, traditionally people think that only people who have anxiety disorder, depression or some serious disorder, only then they should go to a therapy.
पागल जाते हैं therapist के पास.
So that's not true, ma'am.
Oh, I think I've narrated this story multiple times, but I'm narrating it one more time. There was a guard which I had where I had my clinic, who once said, "Ma'am, आपके पास कोई patient नहीं आता." I said, "क्यों, क्या हुआ?" And I just come out after my therapy session and my client had just left. मैंने कभी किसी को आते नहीं देखा. That's what the guard said. I said, "Okay, तो ये जो लोग मेरे यहाँ पे आते हैं उनमें से कई को हेल्प चाहिए होती है." तो said, "मैम, आपके यहाँ तो कोई बांध के नहीं लेके आता किसी को." So the idea is pagal needs therapy. That's the sad part of our society. And yes, things have changed, but still at various stages people do ask us that is something wrong with me that I need therapy. Therapy is not for people who there's something wrong about them. It is about people, you and me. I go for my own therapy. You all need therapy. So whenever there is something that you want to work on, yes, we will take therapy.
That completely makes sense, ma'am. But people nowadays tend to say that, I don't need therapy. I have my best friend, I have my friend, and she's my therapist.
Freud said that whenever anybody comes for therapy, they need some people outside the therapy also. So the role of friend is nowhere been eliminated. You need your family, you need your friends, you need your support system, even if you're going for therapy. Therapists don't become your friends. There's a professional boundary, there is a professional thing. The only thing is there are certain parts that you might be comfortable talking to a therapist because it's a professional setting, it's a confidential setting, it is a non-judgmental space where you can speak. And imagine I, as a psychologist, as a therapist, see my own best friend. I will be not interested in her healing as a therapist. I'll be interested in her as to what would be my thought of what would be best for her.
Yes.
So it will be a complete bias thing. That's why we don't work with our family members, we don't work with our friends. It's a different profession altogether. Not saying friends are not shouldn't be there, you shouldn't talk to friends. Yes, you should talk to friends, but therapist is a different equation altogether.
Yes. But ma'am, throughout our life, we go to different stages, from being a child, being an adolescent, adult, elderly, and in each stage we face different challenges. So, and everybody cope up with those challenges. They don't always need the help. So, what does that triggering factor that they should know, okay, I need therapy, that frequency, or frequency, intensity? What matters?
See, basically, when you can't handle it for yourself, whatever is troubling you, and you want to seek help, you go for a therapist. You might be a student who might be just needing help with, which career do I want to choose, or something happening in your relationship, you don't know how to manage it. Anything that specifically would need help, you can go for that. You need not need to wait for things to escalate to a certain intensity to seek therapy. That's what we are saying. Therapy should become normal where I can go have few sessions, whatever is needed, I can resolve on it and move ahead. That's how it is. I haven't to wait for a big trigger to come.
But I think people do generally wait for that huge trigger to happen in their life, only then they approach. That's the sad part of being a psychologist, that we get to see people who are already on a very worse path.
See, understand one thing, when we see somebody who's going through a very critical issue in hand, we would work on them initially to only eliminate the issue, to work on the concern which is there in the hand, but so that you don't go to a therapist over and over again, there are certain aspects, certain skills in us which we need to develop. That only happens when the person is comparatively recovered from the panic state, that traumatic stage, or whatever the bigger issue is. So the actual depth work happens when the other issues, the traumatic issues are at least resolved.
Yes, that's very true. While talking to her, I actually realize I do know a lot of people who need help or professional help. So as somebody, who realizes, okay, the people in my life might need this help, what can they do? Like, how can they approach? How can they, just suggest, you need help? Because it's a very sensitive matter that, every friend, brother, sister, everybody is scared. They know, okay, my family person is going through something harsh, but they also feel a little scared to, just talk about it.
See, it's because of the taboo factor. One, it's not easily brought up in friends that, maybe you need help. But if you put yourself into their shoes, you might realize that, you might not, are you comfortable hearing it or not comfortable hearing it? If the day you become comfortable hearing about the fact that, today you might need help, your friend will also be able to understand it. The taboo is also within us. So we are more uncomfortable about referring the person. And many times, in very close relationships, we as therapists I usually say that maybe you need to work on yourself. Because if somebody's issue, and especially immediate family's issue, is impacting you, you're part of that system which needs to be changed. So maybe you need to work on yourself, and things might anyway work out over there. Or they'll actually see the importance of them seeking out therapy.
Yes.
So, it is like interestingly, when you were saying this, I was reminded of this client of mine who had come saying that, she thinks that her child needs therapy because he's not studying. But interestingly, we could see that how she would lose her anger when the child wouldn't study, because she would relate that child, her own child, to her own brother who didn't do very well academically. So she would lose her anger, she would beat him up, she would do a lot of stuff. Yes, the child wasn't studying, but the mother needed a lot of work on herself, where she had to understand her whole equation with her brother and her fear of failure of her son. So sometimes we do say that yes, the family member needs help, but the first thing is, do we need help?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. That clears a lot for me. And I realize that there are still a lot of factors that are still hidden, and that can only be achieved through experience like you have. Thank you so much, ma'am.